Hi everyone, my name is Hal. I'm returning to my YouTube channel after a long time. I'm really bad about intros to these videos. I'm not good at what I'm going to say here, but this is a collective haul of supplies I've bought throughout 2025. I am a hobbyist illustrator. I like to write little short stories and I like to draw scenes from them, and I have a lot of comic projects I've been working on over the years, and this is just some things I've purchased, and I thought artists and art enthusiasts might appreciate the video, so I will get into it. I just want to start by saying majority of my supplies I get from eBay or just, thrifting when I'm around. I like getting secondhand items as much as possible just to prevent waste and to give life to products that other people don't want anymore. And also, when they're pre-broken in, it makes it a lot easier for me to use because they're kind of past the sacred stage. I do have some things I've purchased new, but just for the most part, I'll kind of say it as I go too, but most things are from eBay or other people who have sold their gently or very roughly used items. So first up is something I really don't use very often, but I've been taking a liking to this year. I've really gotten into oil pastel. This was just a vintage set. It actually was both of these boxes. The Panda set actually has oil pastels in it. I've never heard of this brand, and they look kind of funky. I haven't really tried these too much. As you can see, I didn't even organize the colors yet, but this was a vintage set from eBay. I was honestly more drawn into getting the empty Rembrandt box because I have a set of Mungyo, the 48 oil pastels that I had got off Amazon a couple years ago, and I liked the idea of having them in a wooden box. So it came with the Panda oil pastels in the wood box and then this empty Rembrandt box, and I just put my Mungyo pastels in there. I guess at the end of this video I can show some of the things I've been messing around with these supplies, but these are my Mungyos, and this is my pre-loved wooden box. I don't know, something about having the art supplies in the wooden box always feels so official. But I did see a couple of sets of these used Rembrandt pastels on eBay for purchase, but they're all 60, 70, they're a little bit expensive, but maybe one day I'll get some. But I have enough oil pastels for now, considering how little I use them and how little I know about them. But I've been finding a lot of great YouTube channels of oil pastel artists that are sharing their techniques and how they work, and I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with that. So that is one of the first things I purchased. I had kind of a list over here with some of the prices, which maybe you'll think they're good, maybe you'll think they're a ripoff, but I thought it would be kind of fun to share. So let's see, here it is. These, for the Panda sets and the two boxes, it was $58 with the shipping, so not great, but not terrible. All right, let's get the other non-pencil supply out of the way, because it's kind of boring. It's boring, but was crazy. I don't even want to say the price of these, but somebody was selling Princeton paintbrushes. It was a huge lot. It's like 100 brushes, all different sizes, all different types. And so you got like filberts, some flats, some rounds, the pointed detail brush. There's a lot. There's even smaller ones that are in here, all different sizes. It was this huge bag of brushes, 100 brushes, and I think total it ended up being $135, but it puts every brush at just a couple dollars per brush. And there's mop brushes and all sorts. I don't know if it was some liquidation from one of the stores or what. I have no idea, but this bag is huge. There's all different brushes, and I'm a hoarder. That was on eBay. Whoever found that, bless your heart, and thank you for sharing. I thought it was funny, though. It was the Princeton brushes, but they're in an artist loft bag. I didn't know if it was somebody who worked for Michaels and bought them and didn't need them or what, but that was a steal. I won't spend too much time on that. Kind of silly, but I saw this and I couldn't not get it. This was also from eBay. It was Learning Smith colored pencils. It has pencils in here, but they're just little kid kind of crappy pencils. I really just wanted this for my desk. And it's just a giant colored pencil. But how cute is that? It's wood. and you can keep things in it if you want to. My setup right now, I have all my art supplies is in my living room, and I have a drawing desk, and then I recently got 2 big TV stands. I have them side by side. They have cabinet doors, and all my supplies are stored within those TV stand cabinets. It just helps kind of keep everything together. And I have cats as pets, and they're long hair, and their hair gets on everything, and it just keeps the supplies from having puffs of cat hair all over it. All right, now we can get into the stuff that I'm really passionate about, and that's my color pencils. So let's do it. First up, we have Crayola, vintage Crayola color pencils, and these have the best wooden smell. These are like the kinds we had when I was a kid, that in the 90s. My order was supposed to be just a 36 set, and then the seller put this 24 set in there for free. That was a nice extra surprise, but let's see. I'm trying to tick these off as I go so I know which ones I've said. These were $28 with the shipping for both of them. That's pretty crazy, which I know Crayola is not really worth that much, but it was worth it to me to have the vintage set. It's got that great wood smell. They don't feel the same to me. The new ones, I have a 36 count set in one of the newer sets, and then it doesn't have the same feel, and it doesn't smell the same. But maybe that's just me being crazy. But what a deal to get both of them. I thought that was so nice. And I have to say, for being small businesses, the eBay sellers do so much better packing and shipping your orders than these big stores do. They take so much care. Everything I've received from there has been like wrapped in bubble wrap and padded in the box so that it's not bouncing around in the shipping container. I never have issues with broken leads, and I wish the big art stores would take that much care in sending our items, because you spend so much more for brand new supplies, and people just don't take the care in packing it the way they do with these small businesses. So I don't know, just something I noticed, and I kind of was saying that on someone else's video too. So that's the Crayola, and I'm getting off topic. Okay, so I was branching out into oil pastels, and I love colored pencils, but I never really used that many watercolor pencils. So I thought it'd be fun to try a couple of sets of those. I wasn't looking for them initially, but they kept popping up and I couldn't help myself. But I have only one set of, well, I had only one set of watercolor pencils for the longest time, and it was a gift my brother had given me. I had these Faber-Castell, the Goldfaber watercolor pencils, and they're okay. The pigment doesn't break down as much as I'd like, and then this wood sometimes give you trouble when you sharpen it. They're not my favorite, but just to test, they were kind of fun. But I just don't like that the colors just don't blend very well together. A lot of times I end up just sketching with them. But I found, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to begin. I found a set of the, it wasn't really a set, but they had the Albrecht Dürer. It was a lot. They just labeled it over 90 Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils, and it was 117 when I counted. But they're not the complete 120. It wasn't the 120 set. It's like there's some repeats and duplicates of colors, but it was used. I have mine in a spinner because it didn't come with the box, but I've divided mine all up into like warm and cool colors and then neutral tones in this other one. I had a few random colors like Beaster and chocolate and some other just brown tones that I had purchased individually from Blick, but I found this set and it was just a crazy deal. It was $76 for 117 of those pencils, so it was cheaper than me buying the whole set, and it was used. Actually, this is what I think is funny about it. There's a bunch of tiny ones in here, probably 2-3 inch pencils. Somebody loved their set, and they got a lot of use out of certain colors. And let's see, where's the others? I don't know. They're so short. They're at the bottom of this little cup, but there was a bunch that were really small in here, and some that were never even used. So, and you can see by the tips of them, some are blunted, and I've been swatching a few of them, but I haven't organized them well enough to swatch all of them. But I'm so excited because I have the Polychromos colored pencils, and I feel like these will work really well together, and I think it will be a lot of fun experimenting. But I couldn't pass up that deal. I just can't believe that somebody was selling them for that cheap. That's the thing that I like about eBay is you can find used art supplies for a lot lower, because sometimes it's somebody selling it that doesn't really do art and they are not an artist and they're just trying to get rid of stuff, so they just price it low so that it will sell, but you end up getting a lot of good deals on that end. This isn't a watercolor pencil, but since it's in this container, I also did get these barrel Prismacolor Verithin. Whoops, it was just 38 random ones that somebody was selling, but they're the ones from the 50s that have those gold tops. I have a full set of these that I really don't use right now because they're just that is a collector item for me, but how fun that I could find a bunch more of these random ones. I really love the Prismacolor Verithins. They're so good for detail work and if you're doing hair or just to sketch with. I love these. They have that for blueprint marking and all that on there. I don't think all of them have it, but some of the older ones it'll say for blueprints and print making. But the gold tips just look so classy to me. So there's those. Some of them haven't even been sharpened before. I end up sketching with these a lot. I just think they're a lot of fun to use, but you can also color with them if you have a lot of detail work. So that was a random lot I purchased. They're on this list somewhere, I think. $38 for those loose pencils. So that's my Albrecht watercolor spinner. And of course I couldn't just get one brand, but actually I didn't even know these existed until recently, but I found the Lyra Rembrandt Aquarell, and it's a 72 count set, and I actually was trying to buy these, but they're so expensive to get brand new. They're too expensive. Even the regular ones. I have the Rembrandt polycolor pencils of just the colored pencil version, and I had bought mine a few years ago, probably 5 years ago off Amazon. A 36 count set was probably $50, and now it's like $70 to $100 something dollars if they're even available. The last time I looked, they weren't even for sale, but somebody had the full set of the Aquarell for sale on eBay for $70. So that's a steal for me, and these are beautiful. Let me see, I have to find it. I'll put it on a different video, I think, but I was already testing them out. The colors are so vibrant. It has the tray, it's got the little pickup handles, but it was barely even used. It looks like somebody tested a few colors and then me, whatever I tested. I didn't sharpen my points on these. Usually when I get the new pencils, I like to sharpen these up, but I feel like with the watercolor pencils, it's a little easier to use them when they're just slightly blunted, so they're not tearing up your paper and scratching it up. But these are beautiful. I love these as much as I love those polycolor pencils, and I can't wait to do an actual proper piece with them. I think my biggest challenge so far with watercolor pencils is figuring out which watercolor paper I like them on better, because most of mine is cold press and I like the toothy papers, but sometimes it's just hard to get detail when you're using those pencils because the bumps and throw your lead off when you're drawing, and it just gets a little scratchy sometimes. I'm still figuring stuff out. I'm not an expert at all, but I really love these. I was so excited to get them, and I can't beat that price, and it's in the original tin. Can't beat it. So yeah, I was super excited about that. So that is the Lyra Rembrandt Aquarell, and it was $70 used on eBay. Also, a disclaimer, I didn't buy these all at one time. This has literally been every month, one thing here, two things there. So it's been collected over the course of the year, because that would be a lot of money just dropping it all at once. And it takes the fun out of it if you buy everything all at once. Next up is a brand that I've really taken a liking to, and I guess you're going to see that. But it's the end of almost the end of the watercolor line. Let's see here. So I have the Derwent watercolor pencils. This is a vintage set. The Rexel Derwent 36 count watercolor pencil. It was 33 according to the listing, but I had a few random oddball ones that had come in miscellaneous lots of pencils. There's two number 41s, so I have some duplicates, but I never made a video about this, but I recently tried Derwent, and I really love their Derwent Studio colored pencils because they remind me a lot of the Prismacolor Verithin. but I almost prefer them more, but they have that hexagonal barrel. They're comfortable to hold, and the leads are nice and soft. But this was a fun set. I was so excited to try. So now I have almost a complete set. I think I'm missing black, but that's okay. You can use that in any brand. I don't really care. But this was $53 with shipping. So not terrible. And this is a vintage set. So I don't know that I'll ever be able to get another one, but I'm happy I got one. I don't really need two, but I have a bad habit of getting attached to something and then wanting a second one. So there's Derwent in the same brand. These are not from eBay. I actually bought these new from Cult Pens. My first time ever buying anything from Cult Pens. I'll be honest, I don't really know. I think they had a line and they expanded it or something. I'm not sure, but these were just a set of colors that expanded the color range, and I just bought these. I don't have any original tin or a basic set or anything, but they are Derwent Inktense pencils. I just got these a few days ago, so I have not really done anything more than swatching them. And I don't know what the line was before, if it was a 72 and it went to 100, or I'm not sure, but these were the extra colors that weren't in the original sets. There's kind of some funky things going on with some of these, and I don't know if it happened in shipping, but I've noticed that with some of these Derwent pencils, these dipped ends will sometimes be melted. I've had that with a few of my sets so far. I don't know how that happens, if it's shipping or if it's just like that out of the factory, but I did notice a couple of them were like that. But here are my colors that I got, and I think it's a nice range. It's good enough to be a set on its own, but it's not actually a set with a tin, as you can see by these labels. But I'm so excited. I've never used these, and everybody's always saying they perform just like ink once you wet them, and they're very vibrant. They are vibrant. I didn't blend out some of these very well, but this is actually the back of a piece of watercolor paper from a pad, so it's probably not the best surface for that, and it's old as heck. I have a bunch of old pads I'm trying to just work through that I've had since high school that I just use for swatching because it's really not good anymore for painting on. But I am super excited about this. I really love this dark mink color. It was kind of a taupey brown, and the browns are just beautiful, and the sugar plum was really unique too, so I'm excited to try these on a proper piece. They're so beautiful. They have made a great first impression. I've been wanting the Inktense for so long, and I really wasn't going to buy these, but they're kind of along with another big purchase I made, so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. It's my last big thing before the end of the year, and I'll just be done. So these are 28 Inktense pencils. I'm not going to go through all the colors, because if you own these, you already know. And you can just go on Cult Pens and look it up. In an unrelated commentary, I don't know, I got two things only, this and something else from Cult Pens, and I wasn't super happy with the purchase experience. Was fine, but the shipping, oh my gosh, they had my products just in one big bubble mailer, and it wasn't tightly sealed around the item. So when I got it and I opened it, all I could think was these were just banging around and they're coming from overseas. But anyway, everything was mostly intact. But for what you pay, especially now with the tariffs, the shipping was pretty expensive with that tacked on there. And for that to be packed like that, I don't know. Like I said, eBay sellers, they are the best packers in my opinion. And I'll stand by that forever. All right, so next up. I'm just going to say right now, I've become obsessed with Derwent recently. I don't know what my deal is, but I love them so much. So I'm going to go to this. And I started using them at the end of last year. I started with I had bought like a 6-pack of the Color Soft or something from Blick just to try them out. I kept hearing everybody talking about them, everybody going on about Inktense and then the Chroma Flow, and they had expended those lines and done all these things. I don't have any of the Chroma Flow. Excuse me, and I don't plan on getting any of them. But like I was saying, I fell in love with the Derwent Studio line, and I found a box set for sale. How lucky is that? This is from eBay. You're gonna hear eBay, eBay, eBay. You're gonna be sick of eBay by the end of it, but I couldn't pass it up. So this was my first wooden box set that I had got from Derwent. and it has a little velvety lined tray. The trays are wooden, lifts out. Sorry, they slid around a little bit. So these are used, obviously, and whoever had them before me was very much in love with them, as you can see. I probably overpaid for this one, but I couldn't help myself when I first saw it because I had a couple random ones. I don't remember what lot it was, but I had bought a lot of pencils, and the lot is just kind of a random assortment of things that people just group together and sell for a low price. But there was like Caran d'Ache, and there was some random Derwent pencils in there, and there was a couple odds and end colors of these studio pencils, and once I used them, I immediately fell in love with them. They're super pigmented. They have a couple different kind of colors too. They have more of a nice light and muted tone colors compared to some of my other sets that I have. But like I said, they remind me of my Prisma Verithin. The Verithin line doesn't have this many colors. I think it stops at 36. That's the biggest set you can get. And then lately the quality, and everyone always complains about the Prisma Premier, the regular ones breaking a lot, but those Verithins, they break like crazy. And there's not a lot in there because it's already a skinny lead, but these cores are a lot thicker, so they're not quite the same as that, but they perform similar, in my opinion, to those. So anyway, I found this. It was $118. I'm sure I overpaid, but it's in the wooden box. And the thing about it that I really like is that all the other Derwent pencils fit in this wooden box. Maybe one that won't. Let me test. There's one that may not. Oh, yep, they all do. And the Derwent barrels can get pretty thick and chunky. So even if I used up all these pencils, I can keep these wooden cases, and these other pencils would still fit nicely inside. So that's that. And I'm sorry to say I am crazy. And I found another one and I couldn't not get it. That's terrible, but it's interesting to look at these. I don't know what years each one is from, but clearly they're from different periods because they have different clasps, unless somebody else just stuck these on here maybe. But this one was much cheaper. This is the same 72 count set, and it was $79 for the set. Same thing, and the seller packed this up very beautifully. They have all these extra foam pieces in there, and I just left them because it helps protect the tips, but these were almost never used. There's just a few that have been tested out, so I have enough to last me the rest of my lifetime. They smell so good. As soon as you open that box, that wood smell just hits you, and it's just amazing. So, those are my Derwent Studio. And like I said, there's still a couple random ones floating around here that I have that weren't in any set at all. That's how I fell in love with them. But I'm happy I met them, and I'm happy they are in my collection now. Is it excessive? Yes. But maybe one day I'll find someone. I always have this idea that I have to buy more than one of everything, because one day I'll meet the person that's also in love with it as much as I am, and I'll have one to give them. And it's like, I don't know that person, not in my everyday life, and who the heck's just gonna want me to give them old pencils? I don't know, but it sounds crazy. I'm looking for my pencil soulmate, and you're out there somewhere, and when I find you, I'm gonna gift you every set that I have so we can be twinning pencil buddies. All right, anyway, enough being weird. I'm just a weirdo, sorry. But next up, it's more Derwent. Spoiler. I have found the Derwent Artist pencils, and I love these so much. These are probably, when I first saw these, there was a random, like I said, a random 2 or 3 just in one of those lots. I couldn't believe how fat these pencils were. They're huge. The cores are massive, and so is the pencil itself. What can I put next to it? I don't even think I have nothing. I don't have anything handy. But I think actually it's even bigger. Okay, so this is a Polychromos, a Faber-Castell Polychromos, but look how much bigger these classic Derwent Artists are. I don't have any of the new Derwent Artists that have the dipped ends, but I like these, and I like that you can see the core. All the cores are massive, just like that. They're kind of a layering pencil, but that's the type of coloring I really enjoy. This set is basically brand new. It had this little paper in here and everything. I'm ashamed to say I already own this set because I bought one last year when I first got into the Derwent stuff, but I found this second set. It's horrible. I'm bad. I have backups to things that I'll probably never finish, but I can't help myself. But I found this one for $53, but it's a brand new set. It's weird because I kind of was talking about this in a different video when I got those Faber-Castell, the Design Spectracolor pencils. Those are one of my all-time favorites. I have many sets of them now, but when I first try to look for one of those vintage sets, I can never find them anywhere. And then all of a sudden I find them and they're everywhere. And that's kind of what happened with this Derwent. I could only find random like 10 or 12 count lot sets of just miscellaneous colors, and then all of a sudden multiple sets just started popping up for reasonable prices. These are probably some of the cheapest because people honestly sell these for $150, $200, $300, and they're really crazily priced, but it's because they're not made this way anymore, and this is the vintage version of it. But this is basically a brand new set. There's some rust on the tin. Guess what? I don't care. It's a little dented. I don't care. I didn't buy it for the box, but you can't pass that up. And I also have more shame to add to that because I found another set of Derwent vintage pencils, and they're the artist ones. But look at this. Oh my gosh. It's like a set from the 50s or something. And it's in this box, and the lid comes off. I sharpened them because the artist that owned these had them completely blunted, but I'm trying to be very careful. This is more so for display for me. I just have it on display on my desk, but it's a 72 set. Now they did trick me. There's one Laurentine pencil in here that's not a Derwent, but that's okay. It's the same size. It fits the theme. But I cannot believe that this is like a collector's item, and this was it was $76. That's kind of a lot, but for as old as this is and what it is, oh my gosh, I was obsessed when I saw this, and I couldn't believe it was. I think it was an auction, and I actually won. And usually these things go so fast, you never win it. There was a little damage here to the front from where somebody had the box taped shut, but I didn't want to. I stopped. I was going to try to peel it off, but this is already peeled here, so I just left it the way it was. But how cool is that? Has that amazing pencil smell. I sharpened them all. Now they have these beautiful points. I don't know if I'll ever use this set because I have many of the Derwent Artists. I have multiple sets of these, but these are like the most vintage ones I own. I haven't even swatched them. But how cool. I'm so happy. I really love these. So they're on display with my giant pencil and my mannequin hand. And I just tuck them right back into this little sleeve. And then I thought it was cute that the artists, they had their little Gladys Quinn Studio written across the top. I was going to look that up and see if anything could come up for that, but the box is pretty well damaged, but I can't believe it held up this well. I was thinking about finding something to maybe clear coat or what kind of lacquer over it just to protect it so it doesn't fall apart anymore, but I just thought this was such a treasure to find. So there's that. And now, oh my gosh, I'm already almost to the end. I got one more item. This is not from, that was from eBay also, sorry. Those are all from eBay. There's only a few things in here that were ever purchased brand spanking new. And that was the Inktense and this next item that I'm about to show, which is flooding YouTube art channels right now. But it is the Derwent Drawing pencils. Woo! They came out with a 72 set. I have the 24 set, and I love them. I love them so much. That was the one I pulled out earlier. And their colors are just so unique. I just love it. I don't know. I don't need to really open these, I guess. Everybody's seen them. I'm so jealous of all the people that got sent those for free because, oh my gosh, what an amazing steal. But there's my set. You can see one of my greens up here is quite a bit shorter than the other. That's because the lead was broken and I had to sharpen it already. And I barely got to use it. And it was broke right in the box. And that's because the packing was crap. Honestly, I'm kind of paranoid because these came from so far. I got these off-cut pens when I got the Inktense, and I'm kind of paranoid that the shipping was so rough on them that I'm going to probably find a few more with some busted up cores, but that's okay. I mean, what can you do? I was impatient. I should have waited because they're pre-order on Blick, but they're not shipping till November, and I was super, super impatient. So I paid a ton more than I should have for that set. I'm not going to say the price. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. So just know that they were expensive, but I did swatch them out. This is like becoming the mass swatching sheet that's just printer paper, but look at the colors. They're so beautiful, especially this row. I love these. That Mars Violet always gets me, but the greens, I am obsessed with these greens, especially these gray green tones. I know some people were complaining that there was a lot of grays, but I really love the grays. I think they're great. There's some that are kind of similar, but when I started doing them side by side, you really could see the difference. I felt like chocolate was so dark it almost looked like black, so I had to do that side by side for a while, but you really can see it in person. I don't know how well it picks up on my lighting, but so I have my Derwent 72 set. This is a shameful haul, but it was over the course of the year. This is Christmas for me. I'm not getting anything else. There's really not anything else I could ever get. I don't even know. I have every pencil I've ever dreamed of owning, and I can't believe it. My Derwent obsession when it first started, this is some of it, but I still have other sets that I didn't even show in this video. But my boyfriend made me this spinner for my birthday. It's kind of like a Lazy Susan for colored pencils, but I've got a bunch of my Derwents in here, my Derwent Artist. Here's a couple of the random Derwent Studio ones that I had. Yeah, the first set that I got where I was testing them out, somebody had, it looks like they had bought a bunch from a local art shop and they just had been selling them real cheap. So I got a bunch like that, but whoops, that's where I fell in love with them. And then I have a set of the 36 artists that are in here. My 24 set of my drawing is in here. Spoiler, I also own Derwent Pro Color. They're also in here. Is that it? I think that's it for what's in the spinner. But yeah, I'm bad. Some Color Soft. I don't have all my Color Soft. I think I just have some loose ones. But yeah, that's my Derwent obsession. This should have been the Derwent obsession video, but I actually have another thing planned for that because I do have a problem with them right now. And I just think it's funny because they just have such a wide array of products. At first I was confused that's why I never got into their brand, because I couldn't figure out why they had so many different lines of pencils, but they all have distinct features and they perform differently, and on different types of paper I've noticed different things. So, but I'm obsessed with them. This is like my baby. Let me see if I can get this out of the clamp here without making a big mess. Sorry. Here we go. So there's my spinner, coffee, and then this is like the new art setup. That's the pile I was working out of, but I've got these two TV stands next to each other. And all my art supplies is in there. This first cabinet is all my dry media and my colored pencils. So, and everything fits inside. So right now it's just a big mess because everything's all over the place, but it all fits in there. And I think it looks really nice, cleaned up. And then I just have like art reference books, my sketchbooks, and my last one is paper and canvases and watercolor things. And then I have some paints and things in here. I should do a tour if anybody wants to see it. If anybody wants to see what a non-artist working area looks like. One day I'll be a real artist. Let me slide this back in here. I know this video is kind of long, but if anyone's interested in sticking around for a few minutes, I can show you some of the things I've been doing with these supplies, besides swatching. I can't show too much. Unfortunately, a lot of the things I create are kind of mature content, and they can't really be shown on here, which even this, sorry, there's some nudity, but I just try to test and swatch things out. But I know these are Lyra Rembrandt. I usually do like little doodles in my sketchbook, and I ended up sticking a bunch of them together. I got a laminator too at some point this year, and I've just been laminating everything. But one day I'll do a proper updated tour, but I've been working on a couple things. This was like a sketch for a painting. These are 3 sketchbooks I've been working in over the past year and a half. I've been working very small. I don't know why, but I think it just fits better for right now. But I won't show everything in here, but just a couple things like with my pencils and coloring and little things, planning a comic story. I have a lot of funny stories. This one's set in the 70s, and it's been kind of inspired by those trashy classic novels from the 60s. I have like 10 cents on there, and there's a couple things I marked off. I can't show everything, like I said. There's a lot of mature content, but we'll just show some of my plans, I guess. I like to just do rough study sketches. This sketchbook is horrible, and I've hated it for so long. The brand is Sam's. I've never heard of it. It's like Sam's Blank Book or something, and they had been at Ollie's for like $2 or $3. The paper is terrible, though. It's too smooth. You can't really color on it very well, and marker just bleeds right through. But I like to use it just to sketch and plan out things. So I have a couple of things that I've just done ideas, sort of. You see, I don't really know that. There's not a lot I can really show, but sorry. I have to have a separate way to access some of this other stuff because it's just not appropriate to share on here. But, you know, I marked the pages that were okay to share. So I just do color studies and just different things that I test out. This was like Lyra, Rembrandt, Polycolor. What is this? This page is kind of fun. I covered up the explicit things, but I've been playing with graphite over colored pencil, and I have just like some of the trashy novel illustrations, things like that. I don't know. It's just some stuff I've been working on. Little character sketches for projects. Nothing super crazy, but I just kind of experiment in these, and they're cheap, so they're not precious. I don't feel bad about drawing in them. And then as far as like playing with painting and stuff, this isn't anything super great, but I have a lot of little short stories I like to do scenes from. This was from 2024. This was from 2024, just playing with watercolor and colored pencil over top of that. I didn't finish this, obviously. I have a lot of scrap cut up papers. I'm very bad about this. I'll cut up paper into a bunch of pieces, and then I have a bunch of miscellaneous sketches and swatches and things on random papers. I think I was testing out, this says Derwent Pro Color over graphite, so I was just testing that out on top of that. Testing Derwent Pro Color on all different papers. These are some swatches of those Lyra Aquarell random notebook paper sketches. I'm bad about that too. I write little stories and then I just doodle everything out in these. Whatever paper I have at the moment is what I end up working on. This was nothing great, but playing with the watercolor, I don't know. This was Gansai Tombi, just messing with it. I don't know how I feel about these yet. They're kind of strange, and I never know how much saturation to get the color payoff that I want, and they dried much lighter than I expected them to, but I got some interesting effects. This isn't my best drawing, but it was just more so testing out the product, and I think I inked it with the brush, and the brush was really fat, so I really shouldn't have used that, but I don't know. Interesting. It came out interesting. We'll say that, but I need to do some more practice with them. I've got those now. Just a sketch that I went over with colored pencil, watercolor and colored pencil. Oh gosh, this is horrible. I was inking with a brush again. I used to do that all the time, and I've gotten away from it. And then I colored over it with markers. It's kind of a scene from a little story. Anything on the back? Oh god, no, nothing I want to share. And then here's me messing with my oil pastels. These are the Mungyo pastels. So this is that drawing from before in that other book. Let me see here. It's actually going to be a painting. I want to do a drawing of it too with the oil pastel, but I haven't figured out which sheet of paper I want to use for that. So that was this sketch, and it's like this little, I was watching a lot of old witch movies from the 70s, and they're always sacrificing someone, and so this was the sketch, the oil pastel sketch, me experimenting with blending the pastels to make like a lava hell scene, but they blend really well on this. This is just construction paper that I randomly have, and I liked how that was coming out. And then this was me experimenting with more of those trashy style novel color covers. That sketch is in this little book also. It was this, like, converted to this, and then I did like a close-up. I keep having this scene in my head of this lady in rollers just scowling at this guy, and it's part of that little series. So this is oil pastel. It's been fun to work on those. There's actually a watercolor piece that I was working on with that same kind of scene. And I think I need to I had sticky notes here for censorship, but I'll have to just get creative. But what to do? Let's see. So I drew it. I drew one of the scenes from that little trashy story. This is my censorship. Sorry. So I drew it with colored pencil, and then I didn't have any transfer paper, so I had to do the old school, like color your paper and transfer it on there. But this is going to be a watercolor drawing once I'm finished with it. So lots of detail. The sofa and her with her little roller set. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with my supplies. I don't share a lot of that on my actual channel. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to doing a horrible job of censoring. I didn't prepare to share that one, but it'll be fun to finish the watercolor part, and I thought it would be neat to go over some of that with the watercolor pencils. So we'll see how it all turns out. But thanks for tuning in to my excessive haul. I'm sorry I have a problem. Hopefully somebody can relate to me, and my colored pencil soulmate is out there, and one day we'll connect and we'll have a amazing coloring drawing session. I hope to do more with my channel. I've really been neglecting it. It's just hard for me because I feel like I can't really draw well on camera. There's just too much setup involved, and my desk is wobbly. So when I'm doing it, everything's moving all over. The camera's moving, and I can't relax as much and get into the flow as when I'm just on my own, just doing my own thing. So I think it'd be more fun just to create what I create and then come back and share it, or do something like a Patreon where I share some of those projects and stories. But mostly I just like seeing everyone's supplies, seeing what they're doing with their supplies, and learning new techniques. And one day I'll be a real artist, but until then I keep my little job and plug away at this in the background. But if you stayed to the end, thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great day and a great cup of coffee. See ya. Bye.